Something is not sitting right with me regarding the current state of our Chicago Bears roster, and we need to talk about Kyler Gordon and his ongoing injury situation. The reality is that our premier slot cornerback is dealing with yet another soft tissue setback after a season where his health constantly kept him off the field. It is a massive dilemma because while we all know his elite talent is a defensive X factor, his availability has turned into a major gamble for the front office. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your name and city in the comments below. Let's get into it. Kyler Gordon remains a focal point of our secondary, but his status has become a major source of anxiety for the Chicago Bears. We all know his talent, as he has established himself as one of the league's premier slot cornerbacks. But his health is currently the elephant in the room. Coming off an injury-riddled season where he played only 3 games, he unfortunately missed OTAs and minicamp this year with a fresh soft tissue issue. It is a frustrating turn of events for a player who, over his first 3 seasons, averaged 14 games played per year. Here's what people are missing in the national discourse. This was not a case of the front office buying damaged goods. When the Bears signed Gordon to his 3-year, $40 million deal, it looked like a savvy investment on a rising star. Now, that optimism has faded into uncertainty. The team holds a path to save nearly $8.5 million next offseason if his health does not stabilize, creating a high-stakes scenario for 2026. Still, defensive coordinator Dennis Allen has publicly expressed a clear vision for how to utilize Gordon, calling him an outstanding nickel player, and he is currently ranked as our 9th most impactful defensive player. The fan base is understandably torn, balancing the memory of his stout run defense and pass rushing ability against the reality that he is currently sidelined. We are left watching the clock, wondering if this lingering injury history will define his tenure, or if he can return to the form that made him a cornerstone of this defense. The most surprising reality facing the Chicago Bears today is that they possess the league's highest-paid slot cornerback while simultaneously staring at a potential $8.5 million salary cap exit strategy for next offseason. We have to look at the backstory behind this 3-year, $40 million deal, which the organization initially viewed as a savvy, forward-thinking move to lock in a core defensive asset before the market skyrocketed. At the time, the player was showing a clear upward trajectory, averaging 14 games played annually during his first 3 seasons. Now here's the thing, that positive momentum hit a wall last year, when a series of soft tissue injuries limited his participation to just 3 games, creating a narrative that the front office paid for damaged goods. While skeptics argue the team miscalculated, it is important to remember that he was consistently improving and proved his durability before this latest string of misfortune. Behind closed doors, head coach Ben Johnson and his staff are likely weighing this history against the defensive coordinator's specific vision for using him as a versatile piece near the line of scrimmage, including his role as an extra pass rusher. The front office is undoubtedly playing a high-stakes game of patience, hoping that the injury issues are an anomaly rather than a permanent trend for their key defender. If he manages to stay on the field, his presence changes our defensive alignment entirely. Yet the organization is clearly keeping that financial escape hatch open for 2026 if he cannot overcome these nagging health concerns. We have seen this team take calculated risks on talented players before, but the financial scale of this commitment means that his availability is no longer just a medical question. It is a significant factor in our long-term cap management and roster stability moving forward. The health of Kyler Gordon has become the most pivotal variable for our defense as we navigate a high-stakes campaign under head coach Ben Johnson. If Gordon remains on the field, the entire defensive structure finds its rhythm, but his recent string of soft tissue injuries creates a precarious situation that could fundamentally alter our financial landscape by next offseason. We are currently staring at nearly $8.5 million in potential cap savings that could be realized if his availability does not improve. A move that would force us to restructure how we allocate resources across the roster. And the more I look at this, the reality of his 3-year, $40 million deal feels like a gamble that the front office simply needs to pay off immediately. With Gordon missing significant time, the depth chart becomes strained, placing undue pressure on backups to replicate his unique ability to blitz from the slot and disrupt opposing passing attacks. As we prepare for critical matchups against division rivals like the Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers, having a healthy Gordon is non-negotiable for our secondary to hold up against complex schemes. His presence is what separates this defense from being merely average to potentially league-leading, especially in key third-down scenarios that define our playoff trajectory. If he can stay on the field, we have one of the most versatile weapons in the entire NFL to counter the explosive offenses we will face this season. However, if he continues to miss games, our path to a postseason berth becomes significantly more complicated, as we simply cannot afford to have our highest-paid nickel cornerback sidelined during the most important stretches of the year. We are banking on his recovery to solidify our standing as a legitimate contender, but the margin for error is becoming thinner every single week. The primary argument for retaining Kyler Gordon is his exceptional versatility and comfort level near the line of scrimmage, where he operates as both a premier slot cornerback and a disruptive extra pass rusher. When healthy, he is undeniably one of our most impactful defensive players, providing a unique tactical advantage that defensive coordinator Dennis Allen has already highlighted as a core component of his defensive vision. And I cannot stress this enough, if he returns to his previous form where he averaged 14 games played per season, his presence could fundamentally shift our secondary efficiency. However, the downside is undeniably significant given his recent history of soft tissue injuries, which limited him to just 3 games last season. While he is under contract through 2028, the Bears could save nearly $8.5 million against the cap next offseason by moving on, a potential reality if he remains plagued by availability issues. Many observers around the league are currently torn, with some analysts noting that labeling him as damaged goods is a reach based on his consistent improvement over his first 3 years. Yet, others wonder if the team was too aggressive by making him the highest-paid slot cornerback in the league, effectively betting on future health that never materialized. Here's where I land on this. While the injury concerns are glaring, the narrative that this was a bad contract is premature. It is easy to succumb to recency bias after a lost season, but Gordon's proven track record of year-over-year growth suggests he is a foundational piece rather than a sunk cost. We must be patient, as a full recovery allows the coaching staff to finally utilize his specific skill set in a way that truly maximizes our defense. I believe he still has the potential to justify every dollar of that $40 million deal. Kyler Gordon stands at a pivotal crossroads for our Chicago Bears. As we look at the broader franchise trajectory, the front office is clearly prioritizing high-level defensive versatility under the guidance of Ben Johnson. While that $40 million contract looked like a prudent investment in a rising star, the reality of his recent injury struggles creates significant financial pressure for the coming seasons. The bottom line here is that the organization is betting heavily on Gordon reclaiming his health to anchor this secondary. If he manages to stay on the field, his ability to rush the passer and stifle routes near the line of scrimmage remains a massive defensive weapon. However, we must remain grounded as fans. If these soft tissue setbacks persist through 2025, the team will be forced to evaluate that $8.5 million in potential cap savings next offseason. We should feel a mix of cautious optimism and urgency heading into the year, because a healthy Gordon provides the specific tactical flexibility that Dennis Allen desperately needs to elevate our defensive scheme. It is fair to expect excellence from a player who proved his consistency by averaging 14 games per season over his first 3 years in the league. We are watching a talented athlete who simply needs a clean bill of health to validate his place as a defensive X factor. Now, given the injury concerns lingering from last season, do you believe Kyler Gordon will play at least 14 games this year? Or is it time to move on? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Bear down. I'll see you in the next one. Whether you agree with my bold take or think I'm completely off base, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below today.